Hi guys, JP Cormier here. It's been quite a while that I've been sort of avoiding making this video because I didn't really want this to go this far, but I realize at this point that I don't actually have a choice in the matter. As you can tell from the title of this video, I'm having, and if you know anything about me and my online life, you know about a site that we've had for 10 years called mastermusicmethod.com. I've taught hundreds of people guitar, fiddle, banjo, mandolin lessons through that site for 10 years. And I've helped a lot of people. Hundreds of people have gone through it. And there was, I think, nearly 200 people on it just recently. And it was a very lucrative thing for me. It was a third of my monthly income. And I was helping a lot of people. And we were, every year or so, we'd do a big block of new lessons. And it was just good. And I met lots of people through it, and it helped build this YouTube channel. It helped build my live shows. It was a really good platform. It was a good site, right? But recently we've run into a very serious problem. Actually just absolutely unbelievable. And there's no other way for me to do this but to just get on here and tell everybody what happened and where we are now, and make this public. And if you can help me make this viral, I want you to do it, because we have a problem that's not just affecting me, it's affecting potentially every content creator that deals with Vimeo. And it's hard. This is tough. This is really bad, because the woman that runs Vimeo, Angeli Sood, I think I'm probably butchering her name. I'm sorry. I apologize. But she's an advocate for creators. She's famous for this. And so what's just happened to us makes no sense. So here's the story. And it's going to take a while. Get your tea and your chips and whatever you want, and check this out. I'm trying to make this as condensed as possible, but still understandable. 10 years ago, I got tired of turning people down for lessons, private ones, in person. And a friend of mine and I were talking like, how could we just do this online so that you don't have to be present, but you can still do lessons that are incredibly in-depth, well-filmed, and how do we do it? So we looked around online, and we found a number of different companies in the States that were hosting platforms. So you sign up with them and you upload your own content. They take the students' credit cards, collect the subscription fee, and send you the money each month, minus their commission. I thought, damn, that's great. So we started out with a company out of New York called VHX. And these guys were awesome. I never had a single problem with these guys. They were super good to me. They were super shocked that my subscription fee was so high. It started out at $30 a month. It was lowered to $15 later, but they would call me and go, man, how do you keep, we don't understand how you're keeping all these people at such a high price, because most other VHX content creators were charging $1 a month and $2 a month, and here I was at 30. And we actually talked about it and said, why don't we lower it to 15 and we'll double which was true. We actually, when we lowered the price by half, more people came, surprisingly. $15 a month is not very much money for, basically private lessons, right? So everything's fine. Somewhere along the way, Vimeo bought VHX. They just bought them. So I'm still receiving my monthly money from VHX goes right into my bank account, but Vimeo now owns them. So a lot of years went by, a lot of years. Like, the site was started in 2013, I think, and here we are, 2023. So 2 years ago, in the middle of the pandemic, I'm sitting in the parking lot of my local strip mall with my mask on. And I don't know, I was getting dog food or something. And the phone rings, and it's this young kid. He's from Vimeo. And he says, we've been looking at your performance, and it's quite awesome. You know, your subscription price is high, and your retention is pretty good for that price. Have you ever thought about developing apps for this? And I was like, hell yeah, I'd like to have apps. I have no idea how to do it. Don't know anything about it really. But yeah, I think if we had an iOS app, an Apple app, because most people use Apple, right? That's the way it is. That would be the shit if we could do that. So he goes, yeah, well, we can absolutely do that. We can develop you an iOS app, an Android app, a Roku stick app, a Fire Stick app, and each one of these things costs X thousands of dollars for us to develop. And then you'd pay us so much a year, I think it was like $5,000 a year, to have your own personal human being, your onboard human being that helps you market it, update it. Like they're your contact through the whole process forever. As long as you stay on this program with us, you'll have this person at Vimeo that will help you do everything you need to do to market to more people, blah. And it was a great sales pitch. This kid was sharp. Because I'm an old dog, and I ain't stupid. I know what's going on. I've been doing contract law for 30 years. I know what's going on. So he sounded trustworthy, and he sounded invested in me, right? I had no reason to think otherwise, because the people I had talked to at VHX it was a small company, and they were nice people. And I thought, okay, this guy's from Vimeo. He's obviously working with VHX in some capacity, because they still exist. They're just absorbed by Vimeo. And so I said, yeah, let's talk about this. I'll go home to my wife, and we'll have a Zoom call or whatever the hell. And so off we go. I got a Zoom call from these people. The first thing that bothered me was the guy that called me. Can't remember his name. I have it in my emails. I'm not going to say his name anyway right now, because this may get way more serious than we're talking about right now, and you'll see by the end of the video what I mean. Anyhow, he called me on Zoom. Wouldn't show his face. Yeah, wouldn't show his face. Wouldn't turn his camera on. And I said to him, I said, I can't see you. Oh, well, we don't turn our cameras on. I said, well, I don't know if I want to do this if I can't see you. And of course, he diffused my trepidation and was like, yeah, no, we're fine. We just don't use it. You know, we're all working from home. We don't. Okay, whatever. So we moved ahead. So basically, what they told us the same thing. They were saying that they would get us iOS apps and Android apps, especially, was the main thing we told them was we must have an Apple app. That's the only thing we're really interested in. So they said, yes, absolutely. We get to the app. This onboarding specialist will call you. She will be your point person for the entire contract. We're gonna help you do marketing. We're gonna help you do this, do the blah 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 blah. And so the first payment's $5,000, and by the time it was over, it was about $25,000 to get it started, and it was $5,000 a year after that. So then we had meetings with me and Ginger and them, 2 or 3 of them, right? All black screen. And I kept looking at Ginger. I was like, this is kind of weird. I'm not sure. You know, this sounds like a bit too good to be true. And it was at that point we started asking these guys in these Zoom calls. We were like, okay, so how does this work once we get this agreement in place? How does it work? What do we have to do? They wouldn't tell us. They refused to tell us. They said, no, we can't get into that until after you've signed this invoice. Once you sign the invoice, we will immediately, the next day when we get it, you'll be contacted by your OTT, your onboarding specialist, and blah blah, and then they'll tell you everything, and there's your point person, right? You can't have any access to her until you've agreed to this contract. So, again, Ginger and I are both sitting there going, "This is weird. This feels weird." But then we started looking at the math of the situation. We're like, okay, so we spend all this money, but all we need is this X number of new subscribers, and it pays for the entire project. And it wasn't a lot. It was 100 more people would have paid for the whole thing. And we're thinking, we've got about 200 now. If we had 2,000, we'd be making money hand over fist. We could, it would be awesome if we could times our subscribers by 10. We'd be independently wealthy, just about, right? So, and we'd be reaching all those people, which was my only mandate. It wasn't even about money. I have other income streams. I was trying to present a new way of teaching, and I did that, and my students loved it. So we finally relented because they would not give us the information we needed. They wouldn't tell us what we wanted to know about the inner workings of what this would be and how it actually worked in real life. Once we paid this money, we couldn't, there was a firewall between us and that information, because we asked for it at least 6 times and they wouldn't tell us. Now, that's something that'll have to be taken over by the onboarding. We can't discuss that until you've made this agreement. So I thought, okay, maybe the only justification that I could come up with to enter into this, knowing with all the red fucking bells going off in my head, was maybe they can't tell us because they do have a proprietary thing, right? That they don't want people to know. Maybe they have an in. Maybe they do a thing that's totally proprietary to Vimeo, and they don't want that information out in the public. And when we sign this contract, we're essentially also signing an NDA that we don't, there might be a clause in the contract is that we don't divulge what Vimeo does for its clients, me being one of them, right? We eventually relented, and they didn't send us a contract. They sent us an invoice, which was 1 page, which had no body, okay, which means there was no table of contents that showed what our obligations were, what their obligations were. There was no information on this document whatsoever, except the 4 apps they were going to build us, apps for iOS, Apple, blah, 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 whatever it was, Roku and Fire Stick's a non-starter. Nobody even uses them. But we had specifically wanted Apple. That was the biggest thing. And they knew that. So there was the 4 things, and there was the money we owed them, whatever it was at the time. I think it's close to $25,000, but there was a payment due within 6 months of $5,000. American. We're talking about American money here, right? So, anyhow, you had to put an electronic mark on this thing, not a signature. Those things don't stand up in court because they're not real. And also, it doesn't stand up in court because it wasn't a contract. It was an invoice. It had no information that you could take in front of a judge and decide whether or not the contract was breached. That's how contract law works. So I signed it. I wanted to see what the hell they were doing. And lo and behold, when we signed it, indeed, they did come the next day and tell us what we had to do, which was fucking everything. Everything. It was all on us. we had to create the account profiles with iOS and with Android, right? Which is not easy. It's really difficult. They insinuated all along that they were doing that. That's what we were buying, was them setting us up with these two giant companies, right? But no, it was us. We had to go to Android, we had to go to Google, we had to go to Apple and apply. And it was cost money and apply. And then we had to get this thing called a DUNS number, which is basically an identifier that goes with an app that ties it to you as the owner. Well, come to find out, you can't get a DUNS number for Apple unless you're an LLC, a limited liability company. I'm not one. I'm a guy. I'm a single guy. I'm not legally able in the province of Nova Scotia to start an LLC. I don't have a staff. I don't have anybody to be the president of the company. I'm one guy. And on top of that, my accountant would never let me do it because it's highly detrimental to my tax situation if I was to start an LLC. It doesn't make any sense. I am a single musician guy teaching out of my studio, happens to be on video, and I tour the world playing music, and I write songs, and I record people, and I produce records. I'm not a company. I never will be, and I don't want to be. And legally, I can't even start one because I don't have the infrastructure inside my own business to do that. I have a company, as most people know, Flash Publishing, right? All it is a marker. It's an imaginary marker. It's registered with the joint stocks, but all it does is hold my songs. It protects my original songs, right? And any other intellectual property that I have to defend. I can do so by saying, this is covered under my publishing house. It's all smoke and mirrors. It doesn't mean anything. Publishing doesn't mean anything anymore anyway in the songwriting world. So we find all this out and realize we can't even get the apps that we were buying because they told us that they were going to do it. Not us. If they had told us, well, you're the one, you have to get all this done. You have to do all the marketing. That was the other thing. They weren't doing any marketing either. They were just, I don't know what they were doing. We started to look at what they were saying they were providing us for all this money. And there was nothing there. Nothing. There was no service that you could put your finger on and go, that's worth 25 grand and $5,000 a year moving forward. So they grifted us. They scammed us. They did a cold call, sold me something that wasn't real, and they did so, I think, maliciously, for the simple reason that they knew I trusted them. I've been with this platform for 10 years and had a great deal of success with it, consistent success for 10 years. They knew that they could get on the phone with me and call me JP and go, we'll help you do this, and this, and this. But you have to sign this contract first, or this invoice, or whatever the hell it was. And you have to obligate yourself to all this money before we divulge to you what it is we're doing for you. I'm an idiot. I should have known better, and I did. But I thought, these people aren't going to rip me off. Why would they do that? Why would they hurt someone, right, that they're making money from? They take a cut of my money each month. Why wouldn't they instead do something to make more subscribers come on board? Because they make more money that way too. So, the long and the short of it, I know that was a funny edit. I was outside for a second. My glasses went dark. Anyhow, so the long and the short of this, when we realized they couldn't complete their side of the bargain because we were not going to be able to get an Apple app or Android, we called them back and said, look, boys, this is a non-starter because we can't. You didn't tell us what we needed to do. You refused, and now we can't do this because we can't provide what you need to fulfill your end of the contract. And all they wanted to do was, we'll just we'll make substitute. We'll do a Roku and then a Fire Stick and blah. I was like, boys, that is not the platform we bought. That's not what we were trying to achieve here. We were trying to get an app for iPhones and Android phones. That's what we thought we were buying. What they did in legalese, this is an actual thing, is called a mistake. It's when someone enters into a contract with somebody else and they don't know that the condition of the person signing the contract is not what they need to fulfill their end of the contract. So they didn't tell me what I needed to do. Therefore, they never knew that I couldn't do it. And we made this agreement, and when they found out that I couldn't do what they needed to fill their part of the bargain, they ignored that. They ignored it. They started talking about making substitutions and changing the pricing and changing this. And I said, I don't want to do any of this. This is not what I asked you for. And I said, we're done talking. If you really think you're going to be able to claim this money from me, and I've received nothing from you, right? Nothing. I would be paying them at this point and receiving absolutely nothing. No apps, no nothing. They just want the money. They want this. It's about $25,000 Canadian that they're trying to get from me, and they've given me nothing. They can't give me the app I wanted. They're not going to be able to deliver anything I was buying, and they still want the money. How's that? So there was quite a while in this process where I was thinking, because they were so disorganized and nobody seemed to be talking to anybody else in this organization, I started to think potentially that these guys were not real. I was thinking for a long time, these guys are scammers. There's no way that anybody would be this unethical and this, well, stupid. But really, I mean, there must be a lawyer among them somewhere that can tell them what you're trying to do to this guy is not legal, right? So they wouldn't relent. So I had my lawyer write to them and say, look, boys, if you want to pursue this, then we want to see the contract. We want to see the contract, because I never seen one, and I want to see my client's signature on it. Where is the body of this invoice that's supposed to be a contract? Where is the body? Where is the part that says you do this, he does this, and this is the agreement? They wouldn't give it to us because it doesn't exist. I never signed a contract. So time went on, and it got to the point where then they started threatening me to shut down Vimeo and stop payment on the school. Never happened. It was months, right? Then they wrote me a letter months ago that said, we've shut you down, blah, 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 blah. But they hadn't. I still got paid that month. And then they sent another letter, we're going to put you in collections for $25,000 for something I never received, right? And so then I got 2 phone calls from some entity in Toronto that's supposed to be a collection agency, and that was it. I told him, I said, sorry, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about, and whatever. So there went that. So anyhow, it's just ridiculous. So then 2 or 3 days ago, finally, they followed through on one of their threats and they shut down the site. And now, this is the ugly part. I've let all my subscribers know that this was going on, to try to warn them and keep them from potentially getting defrauded, right? So I have warned everybody, and this morning I start getting these emails from what appears to be just a bot from Vimeo. And my subscribers are writing in going, I want to cancel my service. I want to cancel my service because I told them to, right? And the bot is telling them that I shut down Master Music Method, that I pulled my service from off of Vimeo, and if there's any problems with that the subscribers are having, it is now they have to contact me. I'm on the hook with all my subscribers, all of my students, right? Well, it just all looks quite malicious to me. It isn't look, it is. They scammed us into signing an agreement, which was not really an agreement at all, which doesn't even contain an actual signature in ink. It doesn't exist. It's a document that would never stand up in court because it has no body. It has no schedule, it has no body. So they've just taken that and ignored everything that we've said and said, you owe us this money or we're shutting you down. That is so stupid on so many levels that, because by shutting me down, they're losing their cut of my business. They could have done anything else besides this. They could have said, okay, so apps aren't an option. Forget that. What else can we do? Is there some other service that we offer that you could pay for, invest in, that could grow the subscription? They didn't do that. They did everything except that. And they've now disrupted, $30,000 a year for me. They've disrupted 200 students who, it breaks my heart because I heard from a guy two days ago that said he's from London, England. That's how far-reaching this thing is. And he said, man, I've been waiting my whole life to find a way to learn guitar that I understood. And I finally discovered your site about 2 days ago. And I said, I was so happy and enjoyed it so much. And now it's gone. I only had 48 hours with you. He said, I don't even know what to do anymore. I'm so sad about this that I'm not sure what to do. And yeah, it's pretty messed up. It's messed up. The whole reason I wanted to start this school in the first place was that I love to teach people. If you watch this channel, you will know that I love to teach people. I love to give people the best advice that I can give them based on my own life experience. I'm not always right, but I try to give people honest, upstanding advice that I run through my own conscience to make sure that, I'm not telling somebody wrong or put them in the wrong direction. And the reason I built that school was that it was a way for me to teach people without eating up hours of my time all the time. There's hundreds and hundreds of hours of work in the school. I don't know how many videos. I'm not sure. It's a lot. And it was put up there so that people that wanted to know what I knew about playing could go on there at their leisure for only $15 a month, and they could look at those videos 24/7 for the rest of their lives, right? That was the idea. That was the reason why I did this. And I don't know how many people that I've talked to over the last 10 years that told me, man, I've gotten so much from that. You don't know how much this helped me. It helped my depression. It helped me my stagnation as a player. I feel great about myself now, and I'm gonna go buy a new guitar. You just don't understand how many people get affected by this in a positive way. And as far as I'm concerned, what Vimeo did to us and to me is not only illegal, There's not a legal leg to stand on about this. It's immoral. It's immoral and unethical what they did. And it should not be allowed. And this brings me to Angeli Sood. If that's the way I probably butchered her name. This woman who runs Vimeo is a superstar in the field of advocating for content creators and artists. That's what she's known for, right? Is this okay with her? Really? This is what you do to a client that's been successful on your platform for a decade? This is how you end everything? By just, okay, well, if you won't play along with our scam that we just pulled on you, you're gone. Goodbye. And then to tell my subscribers that they have nothing to do with the credit card, that I did it. I have their numbers. None of this is true. I would have never pulled that down, and I never had anybody's credit card numbers. That's what Vimeo does. They're a subscription service host. So I upload to Vimeo. Vimeo takes people's card numbers, organizes it all, takes the payment, pays me, keeps their cut. That's it. It's a way to do business so that a guy like me doesn't have to have a credit card acceptance software or an account or whatever. They do it for me. And now they've disowned me. It's just like he was never here. Yeah, we don't know where your credit card numbers are. We can't unsubscribe you. We don't deal with him anymore because he ran away from us. He took his site down, so we can't provide any kind of support. We don't know where he is. Blah blah blah. Holy shit! It's very depressing, but at the same time, it's very motivating, and this is the motivation, and the byproduct of that motivation is to tell all you content creators out there, don't ever deal with these people, ever. And if you are dealing with them, if they ever try to cold call you and sell you a bill of bullshit, you better be careful what you're doing, because they don't care about you. They do not care who you are, what you're doing, what good you're doing in the world, how many people you're helping. They don't care. It has nothing to do with them. Apparently, from what we've seen, all the evidence that's in, it's only about the money. And if they can get you obligated to something, they will have no problem telling you after you're obligated that they can't actually provide what you bought, and they're still going to want all the money. Because that's exactly what they did to me after 10 years. So, Vimeo, if anybody is watching this from this company, I would strongly suggest that you have some sort of an internal meeting and find out what the hell your business mandate is, because you certainly are not helping me or any of my students or yourselves, because you've now destroyed this whole thing. Even if you reinstated me at this point, what would be the point? No one's ever going to trust you again with your credit card numbers. You've just poisoned a whole well of people that gave you their numbers because they trusted me, not you. They wanted to learn from me. They know I have integrity. They know I'm not a liar. They gave you their cards. And now you've just disowned a lot of us. So I'm going to tell you what. There's another thing you can do here. If I was a subscriber, I would be filing, because you'll never find, my name is not on your statements. It's VHX, which is owned by Vimeo. I would go to my credit card companies and I would submit fraud claims. That's what I would do. I mean, there's only a couple hundred of you, but they deserve it. I would just call my credit card company and say, listen, signed up with this music service hosted by Vimeo VHX, and now they're saying that I was never there, which is what they're doing. We don't have your numbers. We can't go into the site. We can't. The only reason that we could have helped you unsubscribe is because when we were admin, which we're not anymore, we can't even see anything anymore. If Vimeo wouldn't help you, we could go in and cancel you. That's the only power we had. We could turn your subscription off, but we can't even do that now. So anyhow, this is a long and dark video, and I apologize because I like to keep the stuff on this channel, up, light, music, fun, drinking, whatever. But this is a problem. It's a huge problem because no matter how much we want to deny it, the music industry and the connectivity between artists and people has now moved online. There's no way around that. It's never going to go back before the way it was before the pandemic. It never will. It's just not going to happen. So moving forward, artists and creators must have people in the business like YouTube, Google, Facebook, and probably others that I'm not aware of, that they can trust. They have to be able to trust these platforms to do business with them ethically and morally, and make sure that the clients and customers and students and viewers and consumers that enter into this personal contract with the creator. You invest in me emotionally, and I appreciate that. And you invest in me financially, and I appreciate that. And I invest in you. I'm not doing this for fun. I'm doing it because I believe in this process. And I believe in YouTube, and I believe in Google, and they've treated me fantastic. And I believe in Facebook. I believe Facebook is trying to do the best it can for artists everywhere. These other companies, if they're not going to behave the way they should and treat artists the way they deserve to be treated, which is the artists are the only thing that they can sell, right? If you mistreat that crop, soon you're going to have nothing on your platform, right? So I'm just one guy. I'm one guy. But am I? Am I really one guy? Or am I a millionth of a percent of the number of artists just like me who are just trying to reach people and help them and make a living at it while providing something cheap for the people? $15 a month was really cheap, and I thought it was fair, and I loved doing it. It was like, damn, these people are I can give them all the information I can possibly think of, and it's not going to cost them any more than $15 a month. Instead of paying $50 a week for private lessons in person, right? Going to get the same thing for fractions of it. So am I really just one guy, right? Or am I also one guy that millions of people watch on YouTube? I have videos on here that have 4 million hits. I have nearly 30,000 subscribers. There's 140,000 people watching us every month or so. We get 1-point-something million minutes watched a month. We're getting 1,300 new subscribers every month. Am I one guy? I'm not. And I'm proud to not be one guy. I'm part of your army. I'm not leading it. I'm not doing any of those things. I'm with you. I am you. I just happen to have a skill set that makes me semi-entertaining. I love you. I love all the people that have supported us on YouTube, right? Why can't Vimeo do the same? Why can't that happen? Why would they do this to any creator? I don't know. But I'll leave it up to you to decide. If you're a creator working with Vimeo, I'd consider getting out of there. There's better ways to do it, apparently. And if you're a creator looking for a platform like Vimeo, it's too bad you couldn't get with VHX because they were awesome. They were awesome until they get bought by Vimeo. Now they have nothing. There's no power there. They're just a division. So, but there's other ways to do it. If you're a creator and you're looking for something, I don't know, Patreon, I don't know. There's all kinds of ways to do it. I would strongly, strongly suggest to you that Vimeo is not the place to do this. Don't go near them. And I can't help it. I'm not trying to be a butthole about this. It's a fact. It's a fact. If what happened to me can happen to other people, it's a fact. That's how they do business. They don't deserve our business. Okay? It's just that simple. And in closing, I love you all. We're doing everything we can to figure out how to get the lectures back into the public. Whether that be a new site that we own, which is, because I'm never doing this again. I will never go with any external platform ever again. If we can build a site for it that we control, that you can talk directly to us, not filtered through Vimeo, I may launch that, and then I'll let you know, and you'll know it's me. I'll make sure you know it's me. And if you want to join the new website, you can. If we don't get that done, I'm fully prepared to just put the goddamn videos right on YouTube for free, right? Because I want the stuff out there. It isn't about money, me. I want the stuff out there for people, right? So there's where we're at. And to all my subscribers on here on YouTube, I love you. If you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe. Check out the rest of the videos. And to my students, finally, at the end of this thing, I apologize for this. Ultimately, I have to take full responsibility for this because I didn't listen to myself. I knew when they started behaving the way they were doing before we got involved with this, that there was something underhanded, partially, maybe even criminal, because there's no way that you can do what they did to us and have it be called legal. It's not. They scammed us, and they knew what they were doing. It wasn't like they were surprised when I came back and said, well, we can't get a DUNS number, we can't get this or that. They were like, oh, that doesn't matter, you still got to pay us. You've made the agreement, here's what we can give you, which is nothing, give us the money. That's a scam. It's like getting hacked. Even having the site taken down the way it's been taken down. I've been hacked. I've been hacked by the company I was supposed to be working with. So I apologize. It's my fault. I should have known better, and I did, and I didn't listen to myself because I trusted them. After a 10-year relationship, I figured, this is weird, but how could they possibly do me in? After 10 years of everything working perfect, why would they do that? And that's the question that needs to be asked at the top of the Vimeo administration ladder. That's the question. Why? Why would you do this? Anyhow, I love you guys. And the next video will be more fun. I apologize again. I love all of you. Thank you very much.